All right, we're live on the YouTube
This
recording.
is what scares me when you go live.
No, I think we're okay. I think we're okay here. Seem to be doing okay. You look good.
You
Whatever
too, bud.
camera
Good
you
to
got
see you.
going on. How was Florida? Treat you good?
Yeah, it was good. Good couple
Okay,
days.
good. Yeah. You're freezing up again. Son of a bitch.
And
Mm,
I got my other 15 seconds.
got a comment already. We're back and glitchier than ever. So I think he's going to switch computers again. We'll be all right. We'll be all right. We'll get it going, Bobby Mack. We got so much to talk about because we haven't been on in I think it's 4 weeks. Between work and friggin' getting old injuries and trips to Florida, which I'm jealous of. Oy, oy, oy. Wish I went to Florida. How we doing, Mike? Good to see you. Back in business. As soon as Scotty gets back on. We need to upgrade our tech, I think. I don't know. You ain't even kidding, dude. I have this hip injury, Mike, that it's been 2 months. Go to PT now. I've been telling a guy at work with I said this is the first injury where I'm starting to feel like old. You know what I mean? Like it's stubborn. It won't heal. Any injury I've ever had, usually give me a couple days, couple weeks, whatever, and it's healed. But not this one. Very stubborn. Very stubborn. So PT, going to physical therapy? You got to be kidding me. Jesus. They use the A word on me, arthritis in my hip. Nothing says you're getting old like arthritis in the hip. See when this guy's coming on. Oh, bro, I'm telling you. First of all, it helps. Don't get me wrong. PT helps, but I dread it because it's a torture chamber for an hour and a half. And it kills you. That's what it is, man. All the football injuries or just the wear and tear is coming back to haunt me now. Finally, I would do it again no matter what, but still, that's what it is. All right, you're good to go?
Yes, sir.
Oh, smooth as silk now. I got
Am I good in the dark? Or you need it on the light? Am I good here?
You're good.
All right,
you're looking good. Tilt it down so you can you're see. Yeah, there you go. Perfect. Yeah. I got NBA playoffs, the Draymond Green thing. Since that, I figure we'll start with that since that's kind of like the hottest topic this week. Okay, and then we'll get right into that's funny. Physical therapist, physical terrorist. That's how I feel. I seriously dread going. Like I start getting sweaty when I know I'm like, oh shit, man, I gotta go. Because they just anyway.
They beat you up.
They beat you up and you don't nothing, none of it feels good. It feels good later, but it doesn't feel good when you're doing it. So then the NFL draft, then we got some Aaron Rodgers, Lamar Jackson, Trey Lance stuff. Then we got baseball, Masters, RBC, some golf stuff, and then your trivia.
Yes, sir.
Sound good?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's fire this thing up. Now everything's ready to go. All right, here we go. What's up, everybody, and welcome to Bump and Run after quite a long hiatus for us. I'm Pete Coliseum, joined as always by my good friend Scott Bracey. How's it going, dude?
Welcome back, sir. You look a little
Ooh.
younger, slightly younger.
I don't know about that. Maybe I'm aging in the wrong direction, but yeah, we had a little hiatus. We had a week off because we didn't have much to talk about, and then you and I are both dealing with similar aging injuries, little hip injuries here and there. And then you went to Florida. How was your trip?
It was very good. Thank you. Nice trip with the boys.
Played golf down there?
We did. We played 3 rounds. We played. It got worse as it got worse as we went, as expected.
Now, did it get worse just because it got worse, or did it get worse because you just got drinking more and more? A little bit of both.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dude, I gotta tell you something. I'm very lucky. I don't get hungover a lot. I drink a lot of water when I drink.
Yeah.
Dude, Saturday morning, we're all on the driving range. I look over at these guys. Everybody looks green. I saw one guy put his ball in the ground and he almost fell over. I hit my first 8 balls on the ground and I almost got in the fucking car and went home. I'm like,
oh my God. Here? Yeah.
And then I had a Bloody Mary and then I felt like $1 million.
That's it, right? Little dog of the hair to bit that bitch in. You're doing okay. So that's good. That's good. No, that's a cool trip. I was definitely jealous of that. So I'm sure it was a lot of fun. So with our time being off, we missed a few things that went on. We didn't really get to talk too much about the NFL draft. There's always news in the NFL with the quarterbacks and all of that stuff. The NBA playoffs got started. Baseball got started. We didn't get a chance to talk about the Masters. So we got some golf stuff. So we'll hit it all. I thought maybe we'd start, we don't have to talk too much about NBA playoffs because they just started. But the big story this week for sure was the stomp heard around the world with Draymond Green kind of putting his foot into Sabonis's chest. And the real question was, should he have been suspended, right? Because he did get a 1-game suspension. So I'll pose that to you to start this off. Do you think it was suspension worthy?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely, because I think the main reason is because of his past. I think that's got to be in an account here. The guy is just an absolute menace. He cost them a championship a couple years ago by doing this stupid shit.
Yeah.
And I think his teammates are sick of him, dude. No one came to his defense. Right. The Jordan Poole punch in the beginning of the season. This is enough's enough with this guy. Yeah, what you make some great points. And so I have 2-pronged on this one.
I try to look at it as like, just as an incident itself, would you suspend a guy? And I just said, let me ask you a question. If, back in the day, Bill Romanowski put his foot into John Elway's chest, would he get suspended for a game? I think yes.
Yeah.
If Aaron Judge were to slide in a second, gets called out, the second baseman falls down and he stands up and he puts his foot into the guy's chest, would he get a suspension? I think yes.
Yeah.
If somebody in hockey did that, I think they'd get suspended. I don't know why this is I really genuinely don't know why this is even controversial, except for the fact that it's happening during the playoffs.
Right.
And then people like to say, well, the guy grabbed his foot. So the only response you have when a guy grabs your foot is to stomp on his chest? Like that was it, not to pull away, but to step on his chest. Now, I don't think he stomped him particularly hard. I don't think this was like some devastating Godzilla stomping on King Kong kind of thing. But regardless, I'm looking at this as a league that most fans can remember, the Malice at the Palace. And I asked this question to you. What percentage of players in this current NBA would have reacted a little more aggressively than Sabonis did? Do you want, if he doesn't get suspended, does it become a kind of thing that, hey, if we're losing and I'm just going to get ejected at the end of the game, I can do this and I'll just lose the rest of that game? Is that the kind of league you want?
Right.
If Russell Westbrook were the guy on the ground instead of Sabonis, and Draymond Green put his foot into Russell Westbrook's chest, what do you think his reaction would have been?
Yeah. Or Beverly.
Or Patrick Beverly. Yeah. There's a million guys that you can think of right now. Or LeBron James. What do you think LeBron James would do? He just would sit there? No, he's going to jump up and there's going to be a brawl. Is that what you want?
You bring up a good point, though. He would never do it to those kind of guys because he's a punk.
He probably wouldn't. You're right. Although you made other great points. Here's a guy who kicked a guy in the nuts in a playoffs that cost him another championship. Here's a guy who punched his own teammate in the face in the preseason, like cold cocked him and real cheap shot at him too.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So while I don't think his history should play a major part in it, I do think it should play a part. I think it was definitely a part of the decision to do this. But I really do think it was more of a thing of like, is this the kind of league we want to have where we say, yeah, no, it's really not that big a deal to put your foot and stomp on someone's chest? I don't think that's what the NBA would want to have. I don't think you, I think as a league, you want to send a message that says, this is not how we operate. So I listen to ESPN radio and I listen to Colin Cowherd and, they're coming to his defense. And I'm like, how could you come to his defense when you're the same people that say it's a different league? It's not the league of the 80s, of the 90s with the bad boys and the Knicks and the Bulls and the Charlotte Hornets and the Miami Heat and those really physical teams like that. It's a different kind of league now. Well, if it's a different kind of league, and even though Draymond is kind of a throwback player, that you're not doing that in this league anymore. Right. You're not doing that kind of stuff. You can't tell me those guys, that was a different time. It was a different league. We don't do it anymore. But then when a guy in your time does it, you say, well, that's what they used to do. But that's not what you do now. The league has clearly tried to make an effort to get that stuff out of the game, to take that kind of stuff out of the game. And I just go back to that idea of what would most players in the league do? What would you do if somebody stomped on you in the middle of a basketball court? You would jump up.
I'd go ballistic.
Absolutely. You jump up and go after them. I mean, come on. Most guys would. Sabonis was, I'll say, smart enough or more savvy enough to kind of like, oh, shit, like it really, he was devastated.
Yeah, and his team's winning. They're playing the defending champs. He's from NBA pedigree. He's probably a smart man. Dude, Draymond, I am so sick of this guy, dude. And we talked about this with the Jordan Poole thing. And they're going to put him on TNT eventually. Great.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, Cowherd comes to his defense. I don't care what he says. He comes to his defense because he has Draymond Green as one of so Cowherd has a podcast company that he has a few guys on. Now, this is actually the second guy that's a controversial because he had who was the former defensive back that does a lot of NFL?
Richard Sherman?
No.
Pac-Man Jones, Josh Norman?
No, he does some NFL. He was doing some NFL games. He got in trouble this year. It might have been like sexual harassment or Aqib Talib.
Oh, yeah.
So Colin Cowherd has Aqib Talib and Draymond Green, and Aqib Talib is already gone because he did whatever the hell he did. And now you got Draymond Green. You're going to come to his defense for stomping on a guy's chest?
It was Talib's brother, I think.
But he was involved in some way or shape or form because the NFL wiped their hands of him too. They don't have him on telecast anymore. Anyway, I just, the league, this idea of coming to his defense, I'm like, you think that's the image this league wants to portray? Stomp the guy if you don't, if he holds your foot? I don't think so. That doesn't make any sense to me. So when they come to his defense, I'm like, you guys are all just crazy.
Have you watched a lot of playoffs so far?
I haven't watched a lot. I've watched some, like individual games. Like I kind of watched the first Lakers Memphis game because I wanted to see LeBron lose. I will tell you this: Denver has been unimpressive the last few years, even though they've been a higher seeded team. They're playing really, really well. They're very, very healthy. What's the kid? Not Murray. Murray is like, he looks great because he's finally healthy and he's playing really well. Listen, they're a very dangerous team right now. I think they're probably the team to beat out of the West. They should be. They're the number one seed, but they've been high seeds before and lost. Yeah. So this is the first time they look like, okay, maybe they can do this.
Him and Joker, dude, look great together. That's what Doncic needs in Dallas. He needs a guy like another.
By the way, how did that turn out? Were we right about that one?
Not good.
Did we nail that one? Saying that Kyrie and him.
Wait a minute. I think they're making the turn now in some Dallas golf course. I think
yeah, exactly. Dude, they were the fourth or fifth seed, and they didn't even make to the play-in games. What does that tell you? Kyrie Irving, good for you. Good job. Tell you. Boston looks really good. Milwaukee will be just fine. I know they lost game one. Giannis is a little banged up, but I think he'll be back and they'll be fine. But Boston looks really good right now. So I see like Denver and Boston right now are the two teams. It's so early, but
Knicks Cleveland's going to be a great series. I think. I think I might go 7.
I think the Knicks are going to have that one. I think they're a little too physical on the boards, to the much better rebounding
but
team.
But they got to keep it up. They can't disappear. Josh Hart's ankle,
sure.
Brunson's this, Randall's like.
God, what a difference Brunson has made for them this year,
God, dude,
like another offensive option.
Do you like this Memphis Grizzly trash talk central team here? Like, what is going on there?
Okay. So I'm probably going to sound like a hypocrite here, but because I don't mind most of what Draymond does on the court. Okay, it's the mouthy stuff. I think, especially with basketball, it happens in football too, but especially with basketball. Basketball is a trash talking sport. Okay, so what are you talking like Dylan Brooks, talking shit about LeBron and stuff like that?
Yeah,
I think it's bad business.
The guy Dame, he doesn't stop talking either.
Yeah, I think it's bad business because I don't want to whisper in the ear of Michael Jordan or LeBron James or Kobe. Like, I don't want to do anything to get these guys fired up.
Right.
But I do like the idea that he's a little edgy and a little physical and a little kind of Dennis Rodman, a little Draymond Green. Like, I do think it's a good thing to have that kind of guy on your team, an agitator, a Brian Scalabrine kind of guy. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yep.
And frankly, Dylan Brooks can shoot some threes too. He's not a bad player. He's a pretty good player too. I do think guys like that getting guys in your opponent's heads. So I don't mind seeing that, because he keeps it within the realm of basketball. He doesn't take it to a
right
fighting you, pushing. It's trash
going personal family shit.
Yeah. So as it is right now, what I'm seeing right now, I don't mind it. Now, I don't mind it from him. I don't like it from my superstar. So I don't like that when Ja Morant does it because it looks like you're petty because you're better than that. Dylan Brooks is not better than that. That's his role. Right. That's his thing. True. It's Draymond Green's thing. That's Dennis Rodman's thing. That's Bill Laimbeer's thing. You know what I mean? The agitator to kind of get you out of your game. Ja Morant, you are the game. You're the number one option. You don't need to do that. You just go and kick ass. So I don't like when he gets mouthy and he starts chirping because then he puts a target on his back. Remember I said to you, like when Cam was still kind of like the man with Carolina, like he was still a pretty good player and he would score a touchdown and he would literally push his own teammates out of the way and do the Superman thing like that.
Yeah.
And I just remember saying like that. I just think that's bad business because you're putting a target on your back of guys on the other team and your own teammates saying, well, fuck you. I'm not going to like play extra hard for you or block an extra guy for you. And the guy on the other team is thinking, I just want to take this guy out. I don't care if I hurt him. I don't care if I blow his knee out. I don't care if I give him a concussion. I just think that's bad business. That's what I'm saying, like with Ja Morant. Like, I just think it's bad business to chirp when you're the man. Let the other guys
do that.
Let the agitators do that stuff. But I don't mind seeing it in the game.
You didn't see Curry and Thompson doing it.
No.
Draymond did it.
Yeah. And even though, Larry Bird is actually famous.
Legend,
now that we know, but he did it under his breath. You didn't even know he was doing it.
Right.
Even Michael Jordan, like other than like big spots or something like that, his trash talking was more like when he would like, hands on knees next to you and he would just kind of whisper to you. You didn't even know he was doing it. They all do that. And that's okay. I'm talking like the post-game interviews where they're talking like megastars, the superstars don't do that stuff. Their game speaks for it. It's the other guys that it's kind of, I don't know. I kind of like that. I kind of like it. Makes the game a little edgier, a little sharper.
It almost becomes must-see TV for game 3 now.
Yeah, absolutely. And you make a great point about it being game 3. Memphis is up 2-0, right?
Yeah.
So Memphis is up 2-0. There's no Draymond because he's suspended.
No, is that tied? Is it 2-0?
It's 2. I'm not Memphis. I'm talking
Kings Warriors.
That's Sacramento.
Yeah.
Draymond is out and the Kings are up 2-0. My goodness. If the defending champs go down 3-0 to a team that hasn't been in a playoffs in about 100 years, the Sacramento Kings, that would be incredible. That would be absolutely incredible. So, and frankly, for Sacramento, Sabonis is kind of that guy for them. He's a bit of an agitator. He's a bit of a faker, an embellisher, an actor.
Those European guys, man, the Wagners do it for the Magic.
They're good. Exactly. So, I haven't watched every game. I do pay attention to all the games. Like I watch the highlights because I want to see what's going on. But I've said this all along, and I've said this for the last couple of years on this podcast. Like NBA regular season it's arduous. It's boring. It's just like it looks like practice games. Like they're not even. It's just not a other than a handful of guys. Russell Westbrook plays hard every single night. John Morant plays hard every single night, but most of the league doesn't.
Yeah.
But the playoffs is a pretty good product. The playoffs is a pretty good product. So
I just don't like the 2-3 games in between, man. It's like what it's you kind of get.
It's too long. A day. That's it. Like a day. You know what I mean? That's it. It's too much because you lose touch. You lose touch with the momentum of the games.
Especially like listen, I'm very thankful the Knicks and Rangers are both in the playoffs. But Tuesday night I got Knicks, Rangers, Yankees. I'm like,
yeah.
I'm like, well, and thank God, not thank God, but the Knicks were out of it early, and then I went Rangers, Yankees, and it's like.
By the way, the Rangers played the Devils first game of the playoffs, and didn't go very well for the Devils at home. And
I gotta tell you though, that guy is fucking pretty good.
He's very good.
Wow.
Only a second-year player. Imagine what he's going to be like in a couple of years. I think the Devils have a really good team, but boy, they got outworked. I watched that game. They got outworked.
No experience. They'll be better tonight.
None. Yeah, but they got outworked. This was beyond like experience. They the Rangers showed up to play a playoff game, and the Devils just showed up to play a hockey game.
That's fair.
It was a different level of intensity from the Rangers than it was from the Devils, and they just never stepped it up. Now they play again tonight. This is Thursday when we're doing this podcast. So they're playing again tonight, and we'll see. You'll know within the first 5 to 7 minutes if the Devils understand the difference. If they didn't learn from the last game, they're going to get another ass whooping tonight.
Me and the guys that are Ranger fans were just like, we're hard on the coach, but the coach had a great game plan. Defend everything early, swipe everything away, and then I think the Devils were getting tired and frustrated, and then they just fucking pounded them after that.
Well, they were also ultra aggressive on the defensive end. Now, the Devils are one of the highest output shots on goal team in the entire NHL. They had one shot on goal like first 10 minutes of the game. Like, they're the kind of team that gets 15, 16, 20 shots on goal in a period, and they had one in 10 minutes. Like, that's what I mean. Like, there was the Rangers were playing at a different intensity level than the Devils, and it was like they just weren't ready for it. They were just shocked. Right. And you make a good point. There's a lot of young guys in that team, and maybe the inexperience just was too much, and they didn't expect to see that coming. But you're also right. They're a talented team. Devils are very talented. So they've had some nice drafts, and they've made a couple nice trades. They're a talented team. We'll see what happens with that.
Like that used one more thing on that. The used draft that was used in Lafreniere, and Lafreniere's a nice player, but he's not even the same class as used. Now.
I mean, he was a second-year player. Had 100 points this year.
Holy moly!
I mean, he's the first player since
third year player.
Oh, third year. I'm sorry. Oh my God, I can't remember the guy's name now. It's right on the tip of my tongue. This is back. You're talking like 18, 19, 20 years ago, maybe even more than that.
Yager?
No, I'm saying for the Devils.
100
point. Got to get 100 points in a season. I can't remember. It doesn't matter. Anyway, he's a nice player for them. So, do a little NFL draft.
I would love to, sir.
What do you want to talk about here?
We have been a little
swirling.
We've been a little parched in our NFL. We're going to pick it up the next couple of weeks here
for sure.
Let's start with a rumor.
Yeah.
Trey Lance, Niners are taking phone calls.
Are you surprised at that at all?
A little bit.
I'm a little surprised of it because it almost says they're giving up on him.
And listen, I know Brock Purdy had a nice run, but are we going to put all our marbles in that guy? I don't.
Now, if you still had Garoppolo on the roster, I think I'd understand it a little more.
I agree.
I think it's very interesting because this kid really hasn't had a chance to, show what he's capable of. He got a couple starts in the beginning of the year last year. They were brutal. He played awful against the Bears, who were terrible, but that was a monsoon. And he got hurt right away.
Kawhi Leonard out for game 3.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Say it again?
Kawhi Leonard out for game 3.
Dude, he's just NBA is so.
Sorry to interrupt. I just figured that was something to share.
Breaking news. Yeah. Yeah, I'm fascinated by it because they gave up so much draft capital to get him.
Yeah.
The fact that they would shop him. Now I'm sure they're not just going to give him away for a song, but so I was curious to ask you, like, where do you think he would be a good fit, or who might be interested? Like, because apparently they're really fielding a number of calls.
I was just going to ask you.
I'm sure some people are just kicking the tires to see what their asking price is, but still.
How about the Jets if the Rodgers thing falls apart?
So you want 2 experimental quarterbacks on your literally from the same draft on your roster now?
What?
And
You
then,
did it with Sam Darnold and oh, no,
yeah, and then go draft Will Levis too. Why don't you do
Yeah,
that?
you should.
I don't know. What about maybe even like the Houston Texans? Do you here's your question.
I draft a guy.
Okay,
well,
so
maybe
that's the
not.
question. Do you look at Trey Lance and do you say he's better? Because let's be honest, this is not anywhere near the best quarterback draft class you've ever seen. The best guy, how do I say this? The most polished guy in this draft, the most pro ready, is 5'10", 185 pounds.
Right.
We got a quarterback from Ohio State that's a coin toss. We got another guy from Kentucky who seems to be more interested in bodybuilding than quarterbacking. Have you seen some of the
Who's this?
Will Levis. Have you seen some of the little videos he's put out and shit, or pictures he's put out? Like with no shirt on and all shredded and shit. He is ripped though, by the way, dude. I wouldn't mind his abs.
Well, remember, we've talked about Trey Lance too. He's played 2 games in 4 years now. At this point.
And now it's 4 years. Yeah. When he got drafted, it was in 2 years. Now it's in 4 years.
Yeah. I mean, come on.
Changed.
What are you
he
doing?
hasn't played any more games. So that's what I'm curious about. Like, well, you know what it'll come down to? I'm sure what it'll come down to is who was interested in him pre-draft that year.
Yeah.
Now, this is 2 years ago. I certainly don't remember what kind of rumors were swirling around about who was interested. You and I don't think we're huge fans. I know I wasn't like terribly excited just because of what I saw in film, but I think that'll have a lot to do with it. I heard one thing today. Maybe Minnesota might be interested to pick him up now, let him sit a year under Kirk Cousins, and then maybe when Cousins' contract is up, he can step in and take over.
That's not a bad call. How about
maybe that's what it fits? You look around the league and you say, hey, would like a New England, or they're not thrilled with Mac Jones, or I don't know. What do you think? Go ahead. How about a who?
I was going to say Tampa Bay, but you can't trust Baker.
Yeah. Then you have the problem is like having so many unproven guys.
I know.
I was thinking Seattle, but San Francisco is not going to send him.
And they just locked up Geno.
Yeah, but for 2 years. I mean, it's only 2 years guaranteed.
I thought it was 3.
I think only 2 years of it is guaranteed, though.
I think that's it, dude. What I mean, how about the Rams might be an option too, but they're not going to trade in division. So
I doubt they would trade in division. And plus, what do the Rams have to even give up anymore, man? This is what happens when you sell your soul to win a Super Bowl, which they did. They sold their soul and won the Super Bowl, but now you have no moves.
I got one.
Okay.
Doesn't make sense on the surface, but hear me out.
Okay.
Miami.
You're correct. No, go ahead. I want to hear.
Miami.
How come?
Offensive coordinator there is the offensive head coach. Worked with him already. 2 is a huge question mark. Was pondering retirement. Now you sit him behind him, and now you have real insurance. Not Teddy Bridgewater.
He's pondering retirement.
You didn't hear that?
No.
Oh yeah, he's not now. He's going to play, but you thought about it.
There was a time. Oh wow.
Yeah,
that's not a good sign,
dude. When you're thinking that, dude,
it's never good.
No, sir.
If it's even on your mind, then it's not good. Yeah, I'm going around the rest of the league, and I'm like, it's a tough fit. Raiders,
Titans.
You ready to give up on Malik Willis, who you just drafted last year?
The guy looks like he's throwing lawn darts, for Christ's sake.
He's bad. Trey Lance is definitely better than him. I could give up on Malik Willis very easily. That's not a bad fit.
He's better in a wheelchair than fucking Malik Willis.
Why not? Sit behind Tannehill for a year? That's not a bad idea.
All right. I got a question for you.
Go ahead.
What quarterback do you think goes first?
Okay. So you remember when this trade went down, who moved up to number 1? Was it Carolina?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Carolina. When the trade went down, it was kind of reported like done deal CJ Stroud.
Right.
And then slowly but surely over course of a few weeks, it has now shifted back to Bryce Young. I don't like Bryce Young, only because he's too small. I like everything else about Bryce Young. I just don't trust these small guys. Show me the small guy who plays an entire season. Tua gets hurt. Kyler gets hurt.
Russell Wilson gets hurt.
Like they all get hurt. And even Bryce Young got hurt this year at Alabama. I'm not a fan of that, man. This is a brutal league for the big guys.
Did you hear the CJ Stroud rumor now?
No.
That he blew off the Manning camp or something? Blew off something with the
I
Manning?
heard something. I don't know. And you know what? We never know the reasons for these things.
But you know what's funny too, though? Like, I think you know the old joke. Like, maybe the team that wants him is leaking that shit. So it's like,
right. That's why that's what I mean by like you don't know the reason for something. Maybe he had a wedding to go to. Who the hell knows? Like, or maybe just didn't feel like it. Maybe he wasn't feeling well. Like, is it illegal to blow off the Mannings now? Is that is that the way it is? How dare you, sir?
Starting to feel that way.
Yeah, right. You can't do that shit. So, well, who do you like better?
I like Young better for multiple reasons. Listen, and I'm not. This isn't Ohio State bias because Stroud I think is the best one that they've had, and it just makes me warm and fuzzy that he's 0-2 against Michigan. Listen, Young single-handedly won that game for them against Texas. Remember when it was hurt? He single-handedly won that game. He's so poised in the pocket. He has great awareness. He's got a pretty good arm. And he didn't have those good wide receivers like those last couple of years like they had. They didn't have Judy and Smith and all those guys. I like him the best. I do like Stroud second. I think Levis and Richardson are just huge question marks to me, dude. I think they're projects.
I agree with you in a sense. I think Bryce Young is the most polished. Like, I think he's ready to go. I think he could actually probably even start game 1 of season 1. Like,
I agree.
He's very he definitely reads defenses quickly. Great decision maker. Very accurate. It's not his play that concerns me at all. If it was just about play, it's pretty easy. He's number 1 to me. That size thing is real and it matters. You even look at like with the Jets this past season, Zach Wilson gets hurt, smaller guy. Mike White comes in, who's not short, but he's narrow, and he gets hurt. Yeah. Like, it's a tough sport, dude. It's a really tough sport. And you look at the guys who were in the playoffs last year, it's Patrick Mahomes, it's Trevor Lawrence, it's the
Josh
Allen, like even Joe Burrow is a little smaller and he's gotten banged up, but the dude out in the Chargers.
Herbert. Yep. Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, like big, strong dudes. Like, I just, CJ Stroud is 6'3", 6'4", 225. Like, he's a bigger, stronger, thicker dude. And I just have more trust in that over the course of an entire season. That's all. I don't think he's nearly as polished as Bryce Young. At least the film doesn't show that. But I also, listen, you know me. We've talked about this since the beginning of this podcast that like 2 drafts in a row, we didn't like the quarterbacks coming out of Ohio State. For various reasons. Like, I didn't feel like they were reading defenses. I think they were being coached into who to throw to pre-snap. And this is the first time it's not exactly what I saw. There are definitely some, how do I say, like pre-snap decision plays, but you have those in the NFL too, like where it's a quick out or something like that. Bing, bing, bing. But I definitely saw more reading of a defense. I saw more decision-making. I saw more, go from your first read, second read to third read with CJ Stroud this year than I did with
Justin
Fields last year. So that's where I like him. What's funny is Justin Fields physically is much more significant than CJ Stroud, but I like CJ Stroud more as a quarterback. I just really do. So you got to look at these things in a little bigger picture, right? Because you're not just using them for this year or what they're going to be like to start.
Of course.
You got to look at is this a guy you're going to be able to count on for 10, 12 years?
I mean, prime example, Jalen Hurts, dude. I mean, right?
Yeah. And here's a guy, he's not super tall. I think he's my height, like 6'1", but dude, he's like 240. Like, he's a freaking,
his legs are great and he's smart. He gets out of bounds.
Yeah. So like, but he can take some of those hits. Bryce Young, that's a little guy, man. That's basically Deshaun, who's that wide receiver?
Deshaun Jackson,
Deshaun Jackson playing quarterback. And that guy gets hurt all the time. Deshaun Jackson gets hurt all the time. So it's not a small man sport. So I just don't trust it. Now, go ahead. If you had another question.
I do. I got 2 more questions. But go ahead. If you want to add to this.
Quarterback wise or?
No.
Okay, well then let me say this. Yeah. I do think Now, Richardson and Will Levis are total coin tosses. I don't have conviction on either one of them. Well, I have more conviction on Will Levis than I do on Richardson. I see nothing from
I
Richardson
agree.
other than his body,
Nothing.
like literally
Nothing.
his physique. I don't know what people are talking about that they love him. These guys that are like these project guys coming out of college, good luck with them. I do not remember any of them working out. People love to bring up Josh Allen as was a project. Josh Allen almost had a 70% completion percentage when he was a junior. His entire they won like all their games but one or two, and that one of those was against a legit Division I team. He lost everybody, and in his percentage went down to 56%. Like, no shit. Like, you're playing against competition that you can't compete with those guys. He was a good quarterback. I've seen nothing from Richardson in college that says to me like, oh, this guy, he'll figure it out. I've seen nothing. So I don't get that. Will Levis to me has the highest ceiling, but he also has like the lowest floor. He has the most bust potential. But he also has the highest ceiling. Like, he's big, strong as shit, cannon for an arm. I think he's a pretty smart kid, loves football. I go back to some of the things I've said before where I say I like the guys who come out of schools that they're throwing to receivers that are not up to par with the defenders they're playing against, because you're throwing into very small windows, which is what it's going to be like in the NFL. And Will Levis, there's not another guy. There might be one player on Kentucky that'll even get drafted.
Right.
Like, none of his wide receivers will get drafted, tight ends, running backs. Like, if they do, it's way later in the draft.
Yeah,
like,
maybe like a guard in the 5th round somewhere.
Yeah, something like that. So it's very difficult to compare him, but that's also the problem.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I just look at some of those things, some of the things I have seen with him, and I'm like, man, this guy could be elite. He looks like Josh Allen, Herbert, Trevor Lawrence. He has that feel, but he hasn't always shown it. So it's a total coin toss.
God willing, we're doing this podcast a year from now, and the quarterbacks are going to be fun to talk about next year.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's a good group. Does Texas running back Bijan Robinson go in the 1st round?
He wouldn't if I was a GM of every NFL team. I do think there's a really good chance. There's a lot of hot rumors about him going to Philadelphia. Dude, Philadelphia is about as complete a team as there is in the NFL right now. They have almost no holes. And they do have some aging bodies on the offensive line. So we'll see what they do there. But there's a lot of talk about him going to the Eagles. I don't like it, because I don't want to get into a situation like the Cowboys got into with Ezekiel Elliott, where that contract, it's first round players are just different than the rest of the draft. I know you know this, but for everyone who's listening, guys who get picked in the 1st round, they have basically like a 4-year guaranteed contract, and then the team has to decide whether or not to pick up the 5th year. And this is what you're seeing with Lamar Jackson right now. This is what you will see very soon with Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow. It's a precarious position. 2 years ago, we were talking about this with Sam Darnold. Do you sign him for that 5th year because you think maybe he got screwed over by bad coaches, or do you just say goodbye and start over?
Right.
I don't want to be in that position with a running back to have to pay him top 3 in the league. Whereas if you pick them in the 2nd round or the 3rd round or the 5th round, you don't ever encounter that situation.
And Dallas is another one of those teams that's looking at him.
Absolutely, right? Yeah, because they let go of Ezekiel Elliott. So
did he sign anywhere yet?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I don't think so. I love the player. I absolutely love the player, and I understand the talk of him going to Philly because it gives Jalen Hurts one more target. A little quick hitter, get some quick yards without him taking a hit or anything like that. So I don't necessarily dislike the player going to the team. I just don't like running backs in the 1st round.
Right.
And think of you just brought, talk about Dallas. Tony Pollard was like a 5th round draft pick. Running backs are all over the place, dude. Mm-hmm. And you can get one really cheap. They're everywhere. So Breece Hall was a 2nd round pick, and he was probably, until he got hurt, he was probably a top 5 running back in a goddamn league last year before he got hurt,
No doubt.
I just, the difference between a 2nd or 3rd round running back and Bijan Robinson, I don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's worth it.
He's going to go first day, though. Definitely.
I think he probably will.
Yeah. You're Aaron Rodgers to the Jets. Day 1 or day 2?
This is becoming just weird, and it's totally a game of chicken, right? Like Green Bay's holding out.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, the Green Bay wants a first round pick. The Jets are like, screw you. We don't even know if we're getting this guy for a second year.
Are you getting frustrated with this?
I'm not yet, because
if it gets past the draft, you're going to be pissed off.
Draft. This is what I've said to you. Like, I walk away.
Yeah.
I just walk away. So, you know, I do think that the Jets hold the cards here, because after what's going on now, you can't have Aaron Rodgers come back to Green Bay.
Right.
Like, you've put this out there like it's a done deal. You're done with him. If you don't do this deal with the Jets, now there were some rumors about San Fran jumping into the fray and maybe being interested. Now, I don't know if that's real or if that's just talk to, you know, maybe get the Jets to blink.
And
first of all, I think it'd be a phenomenal fit, but I don't know how the hell they would fit him under the salary cap.
Unless Green Bay thinks they're going to suck this year, why would you trade them to the NFC?
Well, I don't think they believe they're going to be great with Jordan Love. So, and I look at it as like, they probably just think, get him the fuck out of here.
Yeah,
how many more years is he playing anyway?
Whatever package you like better too, I guess.
Yeah. I just don't know what San Fran has to offer and where they would fit him under the cap. I mean, they got so many great players on that team that they're paying. How many guys can you pay? So,
right.
So that's the issue right now. The Jets, I think, hold the cards because Green Bay can't take him back. They can't take him back. Could you imagine? Could you imagine him going back to Green Bay, like showing up at camp? No. Which he would do, because he's going to say, you owe me $50 million, $58 million. I'm showing up. You can bench me. You can sit me. I'm going to be here. I'm going to be a pain in your ass. So, and you know that's what he would do.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? He would have a press conference every day after every session, and he would make life absolutely miserable for Green Bay and for Jordan Love.
You're right.
So they're going to have to do it. They're going to have to give up, you know, I'm just saying Green Bay's going to have to give up on what they're holding out for, but you know, it's typical. But this. Remember when I said to you in the beginning, I don't want the nonsense. I don't want the chaos. Why do you want the chaos?
Mm-hmm.
And this is where you got the chaos. So you just have to accept it. That's why I said I'm not getting frustrated, because I'm just like, knew the chaos was coming. So this is what you get now.
You have anything else on the draft?
I only had some Lamar Jackson talk.
Go ahead.
That I wanted to bring up. Just the idea of like, I think he overplayed his hand you know, with this contract demand, and he did it against the wrong team, because Baltimore is a very professional team, a very well-run organization. They don't fuck around. And here's the problem. Here's what people are like, why isn't any team taking a run at him? Because he's not really a free agent. If he was a free agent, there'd be lots of teams going after Lamar Jackson right now. So, again, I know you know this, Scotty, but for those listening, Lamar Jackson is a non-exclusive. He is on a non-exclusive. What's the designation called here? Franchise tag. So which means other teams can offer him a contract, and if Baltimore doesn't want to equal that contract, then the other team would have to give up two number one draft picks. Here's why no team is offering anything, because they know that Baltimore's going to match whatever they offer. So why I'm not going to do the negotiating for you. This is what every team is saying. It has nothing to do with race, has nothing to do with Lamar Jackson. It has to do with just dumb business. If I'm the GM of, say, I don't know, fucking Carolina or something like that, and I really, or even New England, because New England, you know, they've said New England would be interested in making a run at Lamar Jackson. I think it'd be fascinating to have Lamar Jackson there with Bill Belichick, right?
And Bill O'Brien, now with a real OC too.
Why am I going to negotiate that contract where I have a better chance of next year him being a free agent and me just signing him? I'm not going to do your work for you.
Right.
So best case scenario for the rest of these teams in the NFL that might be interested in Lamar Jackson is that he signs the 1-year tender and then next year becomes a free agent. And then you all have a chance without giving up the 2 picks.
Well, that's what I was. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, so I do certainly think that the $50 million guaranteed that he's asking for is just, it's not going to happen, dude. It's not going to happen. It doesn't help that he hasn't finished the last 2 seasons. It doesn't help that he looked like kind of like a little, kind of a little diva action at the end of last season.
Yeah.
A lot of guys on that team felt like he let them down, that he could have come back and played. These are playoff games and he didn't come back. Hey, would they have beaten Cincinnati if he had played in that game?
Oh my!
They almost beat him anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, he's got a, and then obviously the last thing is that he doesn't have an agent. And what some people don't understand about having an agent, which works in your favor, is that all these, or at least most of these agents, have multiple players. So if I'm the agent for Scotty, but I'm also the agent for another player on another team, you're not going to badmouth me or badmouth my players because I have another guy on the team that I'm going to be like, you know what? Fuck you then. We're not going to have anybody sign with you. Yep. That's leverage. Lamar Jackson has no leverage like that. He's got his mother like negotiating or whatever. And that's not going to work because the team is going to say, you have nothing to hold over my head. So you have no other players to leverage me with. So there's multiple things working against him. And,
he fucked up.
In the end, it's not going to matter because he's going to end up, unless he's really genuinely considering sitting out a year, I can't imagine. Yeah. But I suppose it's possible. And I don't know what the rules are with that. If he still has to finish that fifth year.
Yep.
So it wouldn't even matter if he sat out, other than the fact that Baltimore doesn't get anything.
And that's a great rule because guys be doing this all the time.
They be doing it all the time. Yeah. So, but it's fascinating, and I just think he overplayed his hand. I think he overplayed. Now, if he was a free agent, I think there'd easily be 10 teams. There'd be 10 teams that were after him. The Jets would be one of them for sure. Why wouldn't you?
Right.
Why wouldn't you? As I've said for 2 years now, you're a guaranteed 10-win team every year. Assuming he plays a full season, you're a guaranteed 10-win team. Who doesn't want that? What a great place to start. What a great place. We're going to win at least 10 games. Let's see what else we can do. Sounds fantastic. Did you have other NFL? Did you have any other draft questions? Or okay.
No, next week I'll have some more for us. We'll do.
By the way, interesting. The last few years, I would say 3 or 4 years, we've had unbelievable wide receiver drafts, like really deep wide receiver drafts. This year's not one of them. This is one of the worst. It's very interesting because like quarterbacks and wide receivers this year, which are always like the hot topics every year. This is not a great wide receiver year. On the other hand, it is a really good like rush end, defensive end, outside linebacker, like blitz quarterback.
Good D tackle year too.
Yes, you got like 10 or 12 guys that are like could be immediate starters in the NFL for pass rushers. So each year is different. You never know what you're going to get, and this year's it's just shaping up to be a little different. You'll also have some really, really nice tight ends in this draft. Oh my God, the kid out of Utah, the kid out of Notre Dame, kid out of there's some really nice tight ends in this draft.
Yes, sir.
It's not this year's draft is not necessarily the sexiest positions that we usually get in the draft, but
of course Iowa's got a guy again.
Probably a center or a guard.
No, tight end.
Oh, it's a tight end. Yeah. And he's very, very good. Yeah. The kid out of Notre Dame, dude.
Yeah, he's a good player.
Phenomenal receiver, and he may be just as good a blocker. Yeah, he's like having a third tackle on your team. Like he's really, really good. I got to be honest with you. If he was there at 13 for the Jets, I wouldn't be. I know it's almost like 75% that they're going to draft an offensive tackle in that spot, which I won't be upset about. I think it's a good idea. But boy, if that kid was available and they drafted, oh my goodness gracious, my God, that'd be fantastic. So,
I want to do a little baseball.
Yeah, I like that idea. America's pastime.
All right, your thoughts on the new rule changes for the first couple of weeks?
It seems that everybody loves the pitch count. Not the pitch count, the pitch clock. Yeah.
You got to say that slow.
Yeah. I don't know. I know the games are shorter, but I don't think people really care if the games are long, if they're exciting. So I don't know. Is the pitch count really? You watch more baseball regularly than I do. Is the pitch clock making that much of a difference as in your viewing experience?
So last night I basically watched the whole thing, and it was a 3-2 game, and it went in extra innings. I think they won in the 10th or 11th, and it was still like the normal game length.
A little over 3 hours.
Yeah, 3-2. Like, but then they had one a couple. Then they had one a couple weeks ago. It was like 10-7 and it was under 3. So I don't know. I guess it's just how the flow of the game's going.
Forget about the time. Do you feel like there's a better flow, like it's a better viewing experience?
I do. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to my first live one tomorrow night, and I'll get a better feel.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that next week then.
Oh baby. Oh, I just missed the Grand Slam. Yeah, I will. We'll definitely catch up on that next week.
Baseball is so different than other sports, like there's no clock. It's kind of like golf. Like, we'll talk about the Masters in a little while, but there was some, there's some complaints about, I think Cantley was taking too long in shots and stuff like that. Baseball's a unique sport. So I think most people who watch baseball, they understand that. And they're not, I don't know if they're so upset that the game is so goddamn long. And now suddenly everybody's like, oh, the pitcher's pitching so fast, I'll watch now. Like, I don't know that that's happening. Like, I guess what would be more interesting is to look at ratings and say, are the ratings up? Because if the ratings are exactly the same, then nothing's changed. Like, you don't have new viewers if the ratings are basically the same.
I think it's a double whammy too with the new rules, and the WBC got people really excited for baseball this year.
It was exciting as hell. Now I know we had some injuries and stuff like that, but it was interesting.
Yeah, a lot of people were fired up for that, and I think it bled into baseball.
I was saying, you think that helped?
I do. Yeah.
Well, you know why I think it also might have helped is because you had real games.
Yeah.
Before the season, as opposed to just preseason games, what most people don't watch.
But they didn't have the new rules in that yet, so it was still exciting for people to watch.
So is one of the rules that they have now also there's no shift?
No shift. You have to have 2 guys on each side of the bag. You can put one basically over the bag, but you can't have what you do.
You can't go cross.
You could bring a guy in from the outfield, but you have to have 2 outfielders. I think you could do that, but I'm not playing fucking softball. The thing I'm worried about with the pitch clock, what I'm hearing from some people, you go to get food, you're gone 3. You miss half the game. You're gone 3.5 What happened to you? I lost you.
I made you solo. No, I'm here.
Yeah, you're gone 3.5, 4 innings, and then you get back. And then, like when you're in those expensive seats and you get the catering service, the waitress service.
Yeah.
Your food, like they're coming in the 8th inning and you're wrapping shit up to go home. So it's like, so I told my girl, we're going tomorrow. I'm like, we're going to go in early. We're going to get food and we're going to sit down. And so we can watch the game, at least the first time out, because I want to, feel it out.
Absolutely. Yeah, especially the Yankee game on a Friday night. It's going to be a fuller house. And it could be interesting just to see, like, I'm just fascinated to see if it's really that much better of a feel, if you're really that much better of a viewing experience for these guys. But I don't know. We'll see. Again, the ratings to me would tell you if you had even a 5% increase would say, hey, there's more people watching because it's a faster paced game and there's more interest. I don't know. I don't know what the ratings are, so we'd have to look into that.
That's funny. I have written down games seem smoother and faster, but I think we need a bigger sample size in that.
Because I think no matter what, baseball is still a slower game. Like you have a lot of strikeouts. You can go for extended periods of time with no scoring and not much hitting, pitching changes. I mean, when guys are on base, a guy needs to get signs from his coach. Like it's just, it's hard to change the nature of the sport. And I think that's what I get what they're trying to do. I just don't know. I don't know if it's making a difference. We'll see, though. We'll have to look into the ratings. We'll do some kind of ratings comparison.
Any adjustments you would make? I mean, I know you haven't really tuned into a game yet, but I think so.
I've been watching a couple games, but
so I still don't like the runner on second base in extra innings. Let's play a little baseball for us before we do that. If you're going to shorten the games,
are they doing that in the first extra inning?
First extra inning,
right away.
If you're going to shorten the games with clock,
right,
then let's. I don't know. And then
I don't hate the idea, but I would like to see him at least go 1 inning without that.
At least 2. I think 2, and I think and then we can go on our merry way. But
the problem is so many of these games are night games, and you're getting out of there. Now you're getting out of there freaking 11 o'clock at night.
Tell me about it.
That may have something to do with it. That's the problem. Going back to what we were talking about before with the NBA games. Some of these games are starting at 10 o'clock at night, even the 7 o'clock. Or if it's an 8 o'clock start, it's hard to watch the whole thing.
Yeah,
I gotta go to work, man. You know what I'm saying? So it's hard to watch. In baseball, it's a slow paced game already, and now I'm trying to keep my eyes open at 10:30 at night. It's not easy. So but the Yankees have gotten off to a decent start, and I say decent because it's not great, but compared to I feel like, I don't know if it's a cold weather town thing or whatever it is, but it seems like the Yankees do not normally get off to great starts.
They don't.
And then you're fighting out of a hole. And this year they've gotten off to a pretty decent start. So,
and then I got one more too on the Yankees. Just like a slow start tradition, again with the fucking guys banged up.
it's unbelievable, dude.
Dude, Pete, at some
Do
point,
they just overhaul the training staff?
I mean, I
What's
think they
going
did that
on?
2 years ago, but like, what are we doing?
Oh my God. It's really something else. It's really something else.
It's really, really frustrating because there's guys that are on the team that shouldn't be there. Hicks for one, kind of Falefa for two, but they got to play.
Hicks, I don't even know how Hicks is even still on a team. I mean, this guy,
because they need bodies, dude. I agree.
he's
with
a
you.
wallflower. He's never available.
Dude, and he needs a psychiatrist. He in the outfield, he looks like he just took up the game. He used to be a Gold Glove outfielder. What the fuck happened to this guy?
I don't know, man. It's funny. He needs a psychiatrist.
God damn it!
Oh my God. Well, good thing is though, the home run king, Aaron Rodgers. Oh, I'm
he's on your
diseased.
mind.
I'm
He's on your
diseased.
mind.
Oh my God, this guy's already punishing me. He's not even on the team yet. Aaron Judge off to a good start. 6 home runs already.
He's fan, dude. He is such a great player, and he's such
Had
a
to
good
sign him,
guy.
dude.
He's a cat. Yeah, he's.
This idea that they weren't going to sign him, that dude, could you imagine he was in, San Francisco?
Oh,
He's got 7, 8 home runs already.
Like Cano in Seattle. Oh my God, see ya.
He's shooting home runs into the river over
the lake.
Oh, dude.
Well, Alcatraz, for Christ's
Oh
sake.
my God, Brian Cashman wouldn't be able to make it out of the stadium. Jeez.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's they're off to a good start. My thing that I want to see is I want to see the ratings. I want to see if it's really making any kind of difference because, like you said, WBC was exciting. People watched, people tuned in, and they had none of that stuff.
Right.
People just want to see good play. They just want to see good, good, compelling sports. So I don't know. We shall see. Want to talk a little golf?
I would love to. So we're going to do a combination here of 2 weeks ago Masters and last week the RBC. John Rahm and the Masters comes back Sunday.
By the way, both tournaments you're fighting for a jacket.
Yeah. By the way, the last week's jacket's sharp. I like that little. It looks like looks like a tablecloth.
Not quite the same value though.
No, sir. John Rahm comes back and beats Brooks Koepka, which I was very happy about. Big John Rahm fan. Kind of rooting against the live guys, to be honest with you. I agree. I think, because it's a better story. I understand where you're coming from.
Well, it's a better story, and I think the wounds are self-inflicted by the PGA. But go ahead.
All right, you can go into that in a minute. I think Brooks kind of ran out of gas, but I don't think it was a live thing in general because Phil and Patrick Reed were gaining ground that they just ran out of holes. Phil looked great, and you know what the shame of Phil is? 5 years ago, that place would have been bedlam with him making a run like that, and it kind of was like a dull.
100% right. That might be the biggest sin of the weekend,
right?
Because before LIV, he was, and I say this because Tiger was never around. Phil Mickelson was the most popular player in the sport, and anytime he was making a run at a victory, think of that PGA championship that he won was he 50 years old?
Yep.
49, 50.
Yep.
Like the people that were following him, it was Tiger-esque. It was Arnold-like, Arnold Palmer, like Arnold's Army kind of thing. Like it was bananas. And the idea that he puts the lowest score of the day on the board. Now, I blame a little bit of this on CBS. I don't care what the fuck they say that they had nothing to do with it.
Totally agree with you.
You got a guy who's got the lowest round, who's climbing up the boards. If it was anybody else, you would have had a camera on him every one of the last 7 holes that he was on.
Yep.
Anybody else, because he's making a run. And you don't, and that's anyone else. You throw on top of it's Phil fucking Mickelson, who's got 3 green jackets. He's a great all-time player, Hall of Fame player, and you don't have a camera on him at all. I love Jim Nantz, but you're a fucking liar or you're ignorant to think that wasn't intentional.
Yeah, and Nantz was snarky about it too, dude. I know. I
don't mind him taking pop shots at the LIV guys. I don't mind that at all.
Right.
But you're either lying or ignorant. Because the idea, if it was any other player, if it was Rory, imagine if it was Rory, the biggest defender of the PGA, and he was 7 under on Sunday and 3 strokes behind the leader, dude, They would have shown every shot of his. Come on. Or if it was Tiger, come on.
Yeah. Is Tiger done?
I think he probably should be. Just had another surgery on an ankle. I hate saying it because it is just more fun when he's there. But listen, everyone's time comes to an end. Jack Nicklaus doesn't play anymore. Arnold Palmer, like everyone retires. And unfortunately, because of injury for him, I just come on, man. It was kind of sad to watch.
It was very sad.
It was like, I almost was like, can somebody please come and just pick him up and just let him go quietly, like put him in a cart and let him go.
You know, I mean, at some point, you got to think the caddy whispered his ear, Tiger.
Come on, man. Now I get it. He didn't want to finish mid-round. He didn't want to bail mid-round, but he had to bail on Sunday. Yeah, I don't like seeing it. Tiger Woods for me is the Yankees. Like I'm a Yankee fan, so it doesn't fit for me. But you either or the Dallas Cowboys or the Lakers. You know, like you either love them or you hate them, and that's how it is for me. Like. When Tiger's winning, I want someone to catch him. And when Tiger's losing, I want him to make a run. And then if he gets too close, I'm like, well, don't go win it. Just make a nice run and make it interesting. But he just makes golf interesting because he's so unique. But I do think he's certainly never going to win another major.
No.
I just can't see that.
He doesn't play enough now either.
Injuries are just – and you're absolutely right. That's the other thing is he's just not getting enough play to get any kind of consistency over 4 days. And then the other thing on top of it is all the advantages that he used to have is mainly being the distance off the tee. Yeah. All these guys either are equal to him or surpassed him in that department anyway. So that's not even an advantage for him anymore.
And guess what? Guess where the injuries came from? The distance off the tee.
Some of it's car crashes. Some
many
different things.
His wife hit him with a golf club. That's what.
One more thing for me about the Masters that I thought was fascinating, and this is why I say about the PGA, this is a self-inflicted wound. I don't know why they had to be so aggressive with the LIV guys. There's no reason you couldn't allow these guys to do both. I think it was a real stinging result to have 3 LIV guys in the top 5 of the Masters leaderboard. You made the point of Koepka and Reed and Mickelson, but there was actually a bunch of guys. If you go down to the top 10, there was even more.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, what it does, because it certainly forced me to think like this, it forced me to think back over the last year and say, those tournaments that these guys won in the PGA, would they have won them if these LIV guys were there? If Brooks Koepka was there for all those tournaments, if Dustin Johnson was there, if Patrick Reed was there, if Phil Mickelson was there, would Jon Rahm have won 4 tournaments already this year? Would Scotty Scheffler had won, however it was 6 tournaments, whatever the hell he won last year?
Yeah, is Xander Schauffele finishing in the top 5 all the time?
Every single tournament, Xander Schauffele's in the top 5. Is that happening? And the fact that it causes any doubt is a friggin' problem, and that's why this needs to be resolved. I'll repeat what we had talked about last year with LIV, and I'll say this: I have no problem with you putting some kind of minimum tournament exposure, assuming a guy's healthy. Minimum tournament exposure in the PGA. Set it at 15, set it at 20, whatever you want to set it at, as long as it's fair. You can't say something like 30 so they can't play in any.
Right.
But set a number and say, listen, you can play in PGA tournaments and then in the majors as well, as long as you play in a minimum of
12 events or something like that.
12, 15 regular events, non-major events. As long as you play in this number, you can participate. You know, let's say it'll depend on the previous season or something like that. You know, I think you got to do that because you're causing doubt in people's minds about whether these wins. You know what's funny, because nobody's looking at the LIV events and thinking, boy, would these guys be winning if Rory was here? Those guys were beating Rory when they were in the PGA Tour. These are the best players that were stolen from the PGA.
Yeah, and I know I'm not reinventing the wheel here, but it's a lot more fun to watch with the whole crowd when the whole crew's there.
Absolutely,
like it makes the sport better.
Of course, even if you're rooting for guys to fail.
Exactly.
You know, Dustin Johnson had a hard time. You know, some guys don't like Dustin Johnson. Oh, look, he's fucking failing. He's so great. Oh, fucking. You want the best players, dude. The idea that you're showing them away is a mistake. Over what? Over what?
Yeah.
It was a mistake, and I think that I think it needs to be resolved. 3 out of the top 5. 3 out of the top 5 guys were LIV players. That's not a good look for the PGA.
It just kind of stinks too when they got a little bad weather. You're playing a lot of holes in a day, and so that probably had something to do with the results too.
Oh my God, I almost forgot about this, dude. It's a fucking miracle. How the hell they finished this
I
tournament?
have no idea they finished on Sunday. I have no idea.
They missed almost the entire day on Saturday.
They missed Friday afternoon and the whole day Saturday.
By the way, I think I had a tear in my eye on Saturday when they called it for the rest of the day. I'm like, what am I supposed to do now?
I know.
What am I supposed to watch? XFL?
I went to the racetrack, I think.
Jesus.
Over to the RBC in beautiful South Carolina.
Gorgeous course.
Matty Fitzpatrick. I'm starting to like more and more, by the way.
Nice player.
Beats Jordan Spieth in a playoff.
Hey, let's be honest. As far as competition goes, because that Masters was over basically by the 14th hole in the back 9 on Sunday. The rest was basically a coronation down the stretch. What a fucking great day on Sunday. This tournament, this RBC was. Holy shit. Multiple guys were fighting for that last spot. Like you said, Spieth and Fitzpatrick end up in a they ended up going 4 holes of, like, we'll call them extra innings.
I thought it was 3. It might be 4.
3 or 4. Yeah, you might be right, but wow, intriguing.
And again, this guy hits a beautiful iron to like basically.
Oh my God! I thought it was going in. Frankly, I don't know how it didn't. It looked like it had plenty of speed to get in, and then it just stopped short. But yeah, it gave himself a freaking 6-inch putt to win the tournament.
Yeah, well done, player. Well done.
Spieth had multiple opportunities, not necessarily the easiest putts, but putts that you and I would expect inside of 10 feet. We expect Jordan Spieth to make.
And that's how he got so good so early. His putting was keeping him in, and now it's kind of abandoned him a little bit.
It's hit or miss. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not.
And
but that's why I say those were putts that. Yeah, those were putts that you and I both would expect him to at least make one of them.
Yeah, right.
You know,
he's playing better overall now lately, which is good to see. Ricky Fowler got married, maybe put the pussy away for a little while, and now he's starting to make a comeback, dude. He's got a couple. He's got what, 4 top 5s so far, or 4 top 10s this year? I think 4 top 10s, and I think everything's in the top 20. He's hanging. He's in there. Like I always liked him, but he's a smaller stature guy too. Like,
I wonder. I think I told you a couple weeks ago. His thing was that he said he's not so focused on form as he is on just being smart and playing well and visualizing the shot and being smooth, as opposed to so technical and robotic. We get like this in all sports, right? We try to really just get so technical that, but then you lose the fluidity of your swing. And golf, my God, it has to be fluid, or else, good Lord, it gets really ugly. And you talk about a guy having a rough time for a hell of a long time. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's good to have him back, on the stage and being a viable option as a potential winner, because he's a good guy too, likable dude. So
definitely.
And he was such a critical part of that young up and coming, the Rory Spieth, Justin Thomas.
Justin Thomas, yeah.
Those guys,
Max Homa.
He was part of that, and then he just was gone,
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Who the hell is this guy Smiley? Down you, Smiley on 13th. Smiley.
I don't know.
Oh, it's a guy. He's like this reporter that's following the guys, and it's so annoying. It's the Valley's like, who's this Smiley guy? I want to punch this guy in the face. Smiley.
Yeah, no, I didn't even hear it.
It's so frustrating. Next time I hear it, I'm going to text you.
Okay, yeah, you got to let me know when it's on there.
Shit. You want to do a little trivia?
Yeah, let's get to Scotty's trivia. We'll wrap this thing up.
I will keep it Masters themed, because obviously I had this lined up a couple weeks ago. So
we didn't even get to talk about. We were all so long. We didn't even get to talk about the NCAA tournament.
I know.
Here, I'll say this one thing about the NCAA tournament, and it's something that you get every year, so it's not unique to this year. I love that one story or that one guy, and this year it was that kid Noel from Kansas State.
Yeah,
you probably never heard of him before the tournament. You're probably never going to see him in the NBA. Maybe a couple mop-up jobs. He's just too short. But boy, for like a 3-week stretch,
I know.
Yeah, every year we get to see this one dude. He's usually a senior, just like this kid. Usually a senior who knows it's about the end of his rope, and he's just like, I don't give a shit. I'm letting it all hang out. And the play of the goddamn tournament was that alley-oop. Was it in overtime?
Oh, dude, no, it wasn't. But what
He's
a
kind of yelling at his coach because the coach is setting up a play, and he does either down one tie score, and he does, as he's talking to his coach from 7 feet behind the 3-point line, he does a no-look alley-oop for a reverse dunk. I'm like, the balls to even try to pull that off. And not only did you pull it off, it was perfect.
The Garden went bananas.
Oh my god!
And by the way, a lot of people think that was a set-up stage play when the coach are yelling at each other.
But it wasn't staged that he wasn't looking because he wasn't looking.
No,
okay.
No.
And so that is every year you get that one guy, one story, one team sometimes that you didn't hear of him before, and you're not going to hear of him again. But for that short amount of time, you're like, oh my god, that kid gets to be, a shining star for a short period of time, and he gets to hold on to that for the rest of his life.
Shining moment.
It really is. It really is, and it's kind of cool. So that of all the things that happened, that was the one thing that stood out to me.
I gotta tell you, I almost forgot who won it. It's been so long.
I kind of did forget who won it.
UConn.
That's right, dude. Five national titles in the last 20 years.
Blue blood.
Now, they're interesting because they also have these really bad downturns here and there.
They do.
Well, that's more than Duke. That's more North Carolina.
Like more than Kentucky.
More than Kentucky. Impressive, dude. With 3 different coaches, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Hello. Anyway, let's get to some trivia.
Scotty trivia. Number 1. Who had played in the most Masters before winning? I'll give you options. All these have
most
options.
Masters before winning.
Before winning. A, Phil. B, Marco Mira. C, Sergio Garcia.
Okay, so I'm going to cross out Phil. Sergio did wait for a long time, but I think he's still. I'm going to say Marco Mira.
You would be incorrect. You should have won with Sergio.
Sergio. Damn it. Good question.
Thank you.
How old was Marco Mira? Do you have you don't have that in front of you?
I don't.
Come on, be prepared, would you?
Get the answer right.
Next year, yeah, that would have been better.
Who is the only player to post all 4 rounds in the 60s?
In the 60s?
A, Lee Westwood. B, Cameron Smith. C, Tom Watson.
Oh, I think you're being tricky with me, Scott.
I would never do such a thing.
Who's the first choice?
Lee Westwood.
No. Cameron Smith or
Mr. Tom Watson.
Tom has 2 green jackets?
I think so.
I'm probably wrong. I'll say Tom Watson.
You're probably wrong. Cameron Smith.
Damn it, again I got it. I narrowed it down, but I got it wrong. Son of a bitch.
What president wanted a tree removed and got denied?
Eisenhower.
Yeah!
I don't even need the multiple choice. There you go.
Attaboy.
Oh my God. But got denied. How about that, huh?
Denied.
Got denied. You say no to the president.
Dude, imagine. Fuck this tree. I want it down.
You're like, yeah, sorry, sir.
Yeah, sorry, sir. That's not coming down.
Is that all of them?
That's it, buddy.
Very nice. Very nice. All right. Well, it's good to be back. It's good to be back. I have nothing to add today. So,
wow. Okay.
I have nothing to add today. I wanted to end with your trivia, but it's good to be back.
It is. It feels
We had a little stretch there where it got precarious there.
We'll probably do a heavy draft week next week. And
Yeah.
we'll touch on some maybe NBA playoffs, the Rangers and Devils if you want. And
I think that sounds good.
And we'll go
that sounds
there,
like
right?
a plan.
Awesome.
Playoffs and draft.
Yep. I like it.
Well, that's enough said. For Scott Bracey, I'm Pete Colasano. You've been listening to Bump and Run. We'll catch you guys next week.
Same bad time, same bad channel. Later.
Later. Sweet.
Yeah, dude, that felt good. It felt good to be back, dude.
Yeah,
seriously, I missed it.
Yeah, too much, too long.
So what are you going? 3 days a week with the hip or 2?
2 days a week. I'm supposed to go tomorrow, but I have a tax accountant meeting at 3:30, so I'm going to see if I can get it later tomorrow night. Because the two times a week is better. But I got like next week. and then I'm supposed to go back to the orthopedic.
Yeah.
So, and I think if I'm still hurting, I think then they're gonna prescribe an
picture.
MRI. Yeah,
Are
get
you
an
gonna
MRI.
are you doing home exercises too?
I do twice a day, man. I'm like
Yeah.
not fooling around with this one.
Yeah,
I've
no,
never
I
been,
do.
I've been, I tell my PT
know.
chick, I'm like, my whole life I don't stretch. Like I've been such
Oh,
like
Sam,
piss
that's
poor.
exactly what I said.
And I'm
They're like, that's as far as your leg goes. I go,
like,
yeah.
she goes, so you're not doing them? I go, I do them every day, twice a day. I said, I just don't want to feel, I don't want to feel like this anymore. So I definitely do them. I wake up in the morning, I go right on the, I have a little cup of coffee and I go right on the floor and do them.
Yeah.
And then I'll do them. I do them again at night.
You got that band you're doing, you call them shells and you're doing like that?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I'm like crying. We got back
worst.
from the golf trip. I went Tuesday. I was like in tears.
So you were able to play golf?
Yeah, Sunday was bad. Sunday I was hurt. I was like limp. I was like limping.
I would not be able to play.
Friday, Saturday, I had no problems. I had no problems playing.
Yeah.
Besides my head.
Able to play. I definitely wouldn't be able to play 18 holes. Because I still coach Peter Richards' baseball team.
I was gonna ask you about that. Yeah.
So I can hit some infield balls like very lightly, but it's mostly arms. Like I'm not, I don't have to hit it really hard. So I'm not trying to, but even just picking up balls sometimes. So I pick up too many balls, or if I throw too many pitches, like during BP or something like that, it just starts to get sore. I'm like, this is bullshit. I was saying to a couple of guys today at work, just saying like, this is the first real injury where it makes me feel old.
Yeah.
The idea of hip arthritis, that's an old person's injury.
Yep.
And the fact that it's so stubborn and just won't like stop, this idea of chronic pain, like that's old person shit, man.
Dude, I agree with you. Like with the hip, you hear that commercial when you're a kid, help, I fall and I broke my hip, I can't get up. You're like, oh,
you're like, what's wrong with them? What's wrong with them? Now I'm like, shit, I need the freaking beeper. I need the I need the fall and I can't get up beeper. Jesus.
Somebody come in.
Fuck.
I know.
So I think that the frustration is starting to get to me, or has been getting to me. And then the idea that I just feel old. It just makes me feel so like I got the hip problem, and then I go look in the mirror and you see this giant white beard. Yeah. And you're like, no hair on my head, white beard, and now you got hip problems. It's like, fuck. Should I go get a plot? Should I go pick out a plot and so my kids don't have to pay for it? Like, Jesus.
I know.
So that part makes me sad. So, and then sleeping. I don't know about you, but like sleeping is.
I wake up in the middle and I flip and then I'm usually good, but like it does wake me up. Yeah.
Sometimes I have to sleep sitting up.
Oh,
because this is what has happened.
Do you think you got a torn labrum or something?
I don't know. That's why I just think there's more, and I just want to go get that MRI. I just want to get to that point where they do the MRI. The sciatica, it acts up probably because I'm limping or I'm overcompensating, and then my right ass cheek sometimes, I swear to God, I want to take like a knife and just cut the whole fucking cheek off. Like that's how bad it hurts sometimes. Or I'm just like, I can't take this anymore, man.
I know.
Sometimes at night, in the middle of the night, it's just brutal. So keep going, keep
going, dude. Definitely keep doing it.
So anyway, good one. Milana has soccer practice from 6 to 7, so we'll get back. I'll eat dinner. It'll probably be a little later tonight, but I should have it done tonight.
Sounds good, brother. Appreciate it.
All right, dude. Talk to you later, man.
All right, later.
Bye.